You ever wonder about that little piece of everyday magic? You turn your phone sideways and boom, the screen just flips. There's no button you press, no command you give it, it just knows. So how does it do that? Well, let's get into it because the answer is actually way cooler than you probably think.
Well, it turns out that inside pretty much every smart device we own, we're talking your phone, your smartwatch, you name it, there's this tiny little component that acts like its perception heart. It's what gives the device a sense of its own motion, which way is up, how it's tilted. And the specific one we're going to look at today, it's a total legend in the tech world.
Yeah, today we're pulling back the curtain on a real unsung hero. This is a sensor that's been a top seller for almost 10 years. Now, in the tech world, that's like a geological era. It's an eternity. And I'm willing to bet there's a device with this thing inside it sitting right next to you right now.
All right, so let's actually meet this thing. Let's put a name to this unsung hero. We're talking about a component whose design was so good, so rock solid, that it became a classic for a decade. In an industry where things usually become obsolete in, a year? Maybe two?
Okay, here it is, the STK8321. Now, its official name is a 3-axis accelerometer, which sounds kind of complicated, right? But all it really means is that it can sense motion and gravity in all 3 directions. So, up and down, side to side, and forward and back. The fact that this one little chip has been a go-to choice for nearly a decade is, it's just incredible. So, what's the secret sauce here?
Well, it's not just one thing. It's more like a combination of 4, let's call them superpowers. And these 4 things are exactly why this tiny chip has stuck around for so long.
First up, and this is a big one for all of us who are constantly staring at our battery percentage, is its insane efficiency. In a world where we're all trying to squeeze every last drop of juice out of our devices, this little chip is an absolute king when it comes to saving power.
Okay, just look at these numbers. They might not mean much on their own, but let's put them in perspective. That little blinking light on your Wi-Fi router, that can use thousands of microamps. This sensor, even when it's working normally, is using under 150. And in suspend mode, it's using less than 1. That is just ridiculously low. It's a huge reason why your fitness tracker can run for days on end without needing a charge.
All right, superpower number 2 is all about precision. See, it's one thing to just know that something is moving, but for the stuff we want our gadgets to do today, you need to know exactly how it's moving, down to the tiniest little wobble, and that's where this sensor really shines. The key is this number, 12-bit. That's its resolution. So think of it like this. An older, clunkier 8-bit sensor sees the world in chunky blocks, kind of like an old video game. But a 12-bit sensor, it sees everything as a super smooth, high-definition curve. That extra detail is what lets it pick up on the most subtle movements, which is exactly what your phone's camera needs to cancel out your shaky hands and give you a crisp, clear photo. Okay, superpower number 3. This thing is smart. It's got its own built-in intelligence. That means it doesn't have to constantly bother the main brain of your phone, the big processor, for every little thing. It can handle a bunch of tasks all on its own, which, you guessed it, is another brilliant way it saves battery life. And here's how it does it. It uses a clever trick called a FIFO buffer. So, the big, power-hungry processor in your phone can go to sleep. Meanwhile, the STK8321 stays awake, quietly gathering motion data and storing it in its own little memory bank. Then, every so often, the main processor wakes up for just a split second, grabs all the data the sensor has saved up, and goes right back to sleep. It's the definition of working smarter, not harder. And for our final superpower, this thing is tough. I mean, seriously tough. Think about it. This sensor lives inside devices that we drop, that we toss in our bags, that get shaken around all day. It has to be built like a tiny little tank. Get this, it can handle a shock of 10,000 Gs. For perspective, a highly trained fighter pilot can only handle about 9 Gs before blacking out. So this sensor is literally over 1,000 times tougher. That's why it can survive a phone drop, no problem. And it's also why it can be used in heavy industrial machines to monitor vibrations. So there you have it, the 4 superpowers. It's efficient, it's precise, it's smart, and it's tough. But what does all that actually mean for us? Let's connect the dots from this little piece of silicon to the actual experiences we have with our devices every single day.
And this chart really paints the picture, doesn't it? I mean, of course, mobile devices and wearables are a huge chunk, that makes sense, but look at all the other places it's hiding, in our smart home gadgets, in industrial equipment, even in virtual reality headsets. This little guy is, quite literally, everywhere. So remember that question we started with about how your phone knows when to rotate its screen? Yep, this is it. This is the little guy that feels gravity, figures out which way is down, and tells your screen to flip. And it's also the reason your photos aren't a blurry mess. It's busy canceling out your hand shaking to keep the camera steady.
And what about that fitness tracker on your wrist? The STK8321 is the heart of it. Its precision is so good it can tell the difference between you actually walking and you just, waving your arm around. That's how it counts your steps so accurately. And at night, it's tracking all your tiny movements to figure out how well you're sleeping.
And it goes way beyond our personal gadgets. Because it's so tough and precise, you'll find it in some really demanding places. You can stick one on a shipping crate to see if it's been handled roughly, or put it on a huge factory machine to listen for weird vibrations that could mean something's about to break.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, you really start to appreciate the legacy of this one little component. Its success isn't about being the newest, flashiest thing on the market. It's about being fundamentally, undeniably good at what it does. And that's really what makes something a classic in the world of technology, isn't it? It's that perfect mix of being super efficient, totally reliable, and flexible enough to be used in all sorts of different ways. The STK8321? It's pretty much the textbook example. The source material for this explainer said it perfectly. This sensor holds immense power to change the product experience. And that's so true. It's not just another component on a circuit board. It's the thing that enables all those little features that make our devices feel smart and intuitive, like they just work.
So the next time your screen flips just right, or you get a perfectly stable video, maybe give a little nod to the tiny decade-old hero that's working away inside. And it kind of makes you wonder, right? What other invisible, timeless classics like this are out there, quietly making our world work?